Good morning, everyone. This is Ken Iverson again in Kent. Uh, I've lost track of which segment we're on now, either 4 or 5. I think I lost one segment. I just lost it because I was trying to hurry up the processing, and I lost it, so I'll have to record that maybe some other time if I can remember what I was talking about. I just had a banquet turkey meal. Uh, uh, and I'm ready to go. So we'll finish this up probably in this segment. I want to get to that Stanford Daily article on the election, the mock election in Mississippi in 1963, in early November of 1963. So let me get to that article right now. This is for Kerry Tolan, and I'm dedicating this to him because he seemed interested. He's the one that suggested I put this down in the media somehow, and I'm doing that now, Kerry, so this is for you. This is from October 31st, 1963. It's from the Stanford Daily, which is a Stanford newspaper, the student newspaper. It comes out every morning during the week. I don't remember. This is volume 144, number 29, October 31st, 1963. The headline is, Mock Vote Takes Turn for the Better. Stanford Contributions Are Received. And this is by Eileen H. Strelitz, editor. I think I knew Eileen. The Mississippi mock vote for Henry for governor campaign is gaining in positive response, campaign manager Bob Moses told the Daily from Jackson, Mississippi last night. Moses said that the Hattiesburg rally of last night was a big turnabout. Let me get situated here. Let's see, so I'm comfortable. As the Daily spoke with Moses, Allard Lowenstein, remember I mentioned Allard Lowenstein, and Stanford student Fred Goff were leading a major rally in Clarksdale featuring Georgia's Negro Senator Johnson as a speaker. Clarksdale is the only town in which mock vote workers are currently in jail. 2 Yale students are presently confined there. Remember I said there were Yale and Stanford students at that time. Stanford students Holt Ruffin, Hugh Smith, and Dennis Sweeney, remember Dennis, are now in Oxford, Mississippi, trying to determine Ole Miss reactions to the mock vote and conducting interviews there. They were with a SNCC worker in Oxford yesterday afternoon and were stopped by police. They were interrogated but released and phoned back to Jackson from a store across the street from the police station. Today they move on to Rush College in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Phone calls were received by the Daily yesterday from the 2 Stanford cars that were still on road there. I was in one of those. The 4 Zetas, that's a fraternity at Stanford, the Zeta whatever, called from Texarkana at 2:30 yesterday afternoon for instructions on where to go upon arriving in Jackson. They expected to arrive at 11 last night. Frank Dubosky, Anson Garnsey, Tony King, and George Mintz are in that group. The other Stanford students called from Louisiana at 7 p.m. The conversation was conducted entirely in French. I'd forgotten about that. In French, as they felt the instructions being given them from California might be taped. The others are Lawrence DeVivart, Ken Iverson, that's me, Jeff Dennis Strayemeyer, Steve Lesser, and Didier Milliard, and Terry Takeda. All are Stanford students with the exception of Milliard, who is a Foothill freshman. That's a junior college near Stanford. I remembered him as going to Menlo College, but I may have had that wrong. He was either Foothill or Menlo College. They're both sort of feeders for Stanford. A lot of students go to Stanford from Foothill or from Menlo College. In Natchez, Mississippi yesterday, a SNCC worker was SNCC, that's SNCC, that stands for Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and the short is SNCC. John Lewis the chairman of SNCC at that time. And I mentioned in a previous video that John and I had been taken to jail. We weren't booked or anything, but we were taken to jail. They were trying to intimidate us in Yazoo City, where Senator Eastland was from, a notorious racist and segregationist. And so anyway, in Natchez, Mississippi yesterday, a SNCC worker was picked up on a stolen car charge and imprisoned at $5,000 bail. He was released when a telegram was received confirming car registration. In Tupelo yesterday, a mock election organizer was unable to remain in town due to police action. Well, we were I don't know if we were lucky or not in Yazoo City. We could remain in town, although they did interrogate us at the jail when John and I were there. And Tupelo, that's the name of the group that performed at Peace Day. That's where Elvis was born, in Mississippi. Elvis Presley was born in Tupelo, Mississippi. The name of the group that performed at Peace Day just over a month and a half ago here in Kent, at the Kent Marine Performing Arts Center, is named Tupelo. And that's named after that. The founder of the band, John Dietrich, is of that age when Elvis would have been one of the people he grew up with listening to his music. So that's Tupelo, Mississippi. Small world. Moses confirmed that Lowenstein received today the first $900 of Stanford money mailed last Monday morning. The Stanford total now is close to $5,000, with $800 having been collected in front of the post office yesterday. That's the same post office where David Darris burned his draft card during the time of Vietnam. Out in front of it, I think I was there that day. He burned it for the television stations in San Francisco, and for his efforts, he got 4 years in Leavenworth. Is this a great country or what? You burn your draft card, and you get 4 years of free room and board in Leavenworth. God, what is going on here? Reactions vary from community to community. Yale students distributed leaflets in Laurel, Mississippi yesterday with no problem. Laurel learned a lesson from the Hattiesburg rally and decided they couldn't make a fuss about it, Moses stated. Moses described the Freedom ballot. The names of the legal candidates for governor, notice that legal candidates for governor and lieutenant governor, appear on the ballot in alphabetical order, along with those of Henry, that's Aaron Henry, and King. They are all in the same size type. The ballot reads, "Vote for Freedom." This is an unofficial ballot. Mark one choice with an X. I didn't vote because I wasn't from Mississippi, but I don't even think I saw a ballot. I don't know how it turned out, but we know since that mock election in '63, I like to say it's a long ways from Aaron Henry and Mississippi to the White House. And it's a long ways from the White House to Kent, Washington, where President Obama called me on July 6th of 2010, 4 days before Peace Day, acknowledging Peace Day and saying, unfortunately, he would not be able to attend. And I have never been so delighted to have someone turn down an invitation because it meant Peace Day was on the map. Thank you, President Obama. I appreciate that. Maybe next year you can attend Peace Day and bring along Michelle and Malia and Sasha. I would love to have them at Peace Day next year. Let's see. Votemobiles will be on major Mississippi highways and towns on Saturday. Each will have poll watchers who will check voting age and take names and addresses of voters to assure one man, one vote. I expect the entire staff could be arrested with the votemobiles on Saturday, noted Moses. All the Negroes came to town to shop on Saturday from the rural areas. The police may just stop the voting and jail us all. On Friday night, 25 rallies were held simultaneously throughout the state. Aaron Henry will speak at a major one in Jackson. That's the first night. I think we spent our first night in Jackson when we got to Mississippi. Stanford students Tom Galbraith and Skip Martin addressed the Student Senate and resident officers the University of the Pacific in Stockton, California, yesterday evening. Interest there was high. Plane reservations were made to fly 3 students to Jackson. Moses consented to this in a phone conversation from Stockton. Stanford students yesterday spoke with San Francisco civil rights attorneys and secured the guarantee of free legal aid from 5 lawyers should any Stanford student in Mississippi need it. And I don't know whether they needed it or not. I really don't. We didn't. I was taken to jail 2 or 3 times and never booked. Well, I guess at that time I was young and invulnerable. I was bulletproof, and the rest of us felt we were bulletproof too. But that following summer, when Goodwin and Swerner and Cheney were killed, then we realized that maybe that's not the case. National publicity and congressional action demands rank along with finances now, according to Moses. It has been reported to the Daily that NBC networks have been giving news of Stanford activities nationally. Information has been sent out by the wire services. In a personal letter received at the Daily yesterday, Lowenstein indicated that the Justice Department may be moving in on Mississippi shortly. Moses stated that ABC, CBS, NBC, and the New York Times have contacted Henry headquarters. The Collegiate Press Service has released lengthy information on Stanford activity to campuses throughout the nation. Amen. We can't express what Stanford's support has meant, Moses said. He urged students to wire their congressman to bring congressional investigation of current activities in Mississippi and to write to hometown newspapers. That's always a good idea when you are trying to influence policy, to write letters and to make telephone calls and do whatever you can. I'm doing that right now with President Obama. I've started something called A Journey to Peace. This is day 40 today, or yesterday it was day 40. And each day I'm copying and pasting into a Word document things that I and other people are saying about the war in Afghanistan and the Muslim people that I'm in contact with throughout the world. And I'm copying and pasting this, and I'm mailing them to Obama. And I hope that he takes a look at them. I'm going to write a letter pretty soon, and I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask whoever's reading the letter to give me some indication if they're receiving these letters or not. So let me wrap it up here. This is the article, and this is a bulletin. I think I have time to get this in. Bulletin. Allard Lowenstein called as the Daily went to press last night and stated, "The campaign is a much greater success than we ever dreamed was possible. There is no question that Stanford and Yale have changed the nature of the campaign in Mississippi. On the basis of Stanford funds, TV time was bought, and leaflets distributed in mass instead of being picked up from the floor after being used once. When he announced at the Clark's Day rally what Stanford had done, the place went wild. This is what we can stop the intimidation, the force of someone from the outside." And we do have some more time. I hurried through that. I'm sorry. Anyway, that was in the Stanford Daily on Halloween. That was Halloween morning. This would be distributed amongst the students. They put them around campus in little boxes and then pick them up and read them. So that's the way it was. Who said that? Who said that's the way it is? Was that Walter Cronkite? Somebody said that. One of the newscasters. Anyway, this is Ken Iverson, and I got a few more seconds here. Let me see who Bob Moses was. Let me check here. Bob Moses, campaign manager. Campaign manager for Aaron Henry, Bob Moses. So that's our story again, and I'm sticking to it. That's the way it was in 1963 on Halloween Day. So we're getting close to the end here, and that's pretty much wraps up what I have to say about the civil rights, the early civil rights movement days in Mississippi and Stanford and Yale. Of course, the summer of '64 was something else. I wasn't there. I was in Africa, in West Africa, in the Gambia at that